John Christian, we will talk about his feature film, The King's Choice. It's Kongens Nei. It was shot partly with the Varicam 35, recorded in AVC Intra. And the scene we will talk about was shot at 5000 ISO. And this is another good example of what we can do with this high sensitivity, and that you cannot do with some other cameras.
I will try to explain about the film, and then so you understand why we choose the camera and the idea behind it. I can start by showing you this little trailer. It's on a quick time, but just so you get a kind of a mood of what the film is about.
Overraskende? Du mener alle tegner var overraskende? Vår jobb blir å stoppe tyskerne. Er det forstått? Ja! Vi nødt til å stå sammen. Vi må få slutt på dette marerittet. Og det så redd for å stå for. Du skal ikke kalle meg mann.
Alt for kongen Deres Majestet.
The whole idea with the movie was to recreate a story that everybody know. And you know, in every country we have this history police that knows everything about the story. They know which car they went into, they know the lines they said, and it is crazy how much people know when you go back to history, especially about the king. So we were very precise in trying to recreate as good as possible all the public environments where you knew that there had been other peoples. Of course, when we went into the privacy, we could do whatever we like because nobody had been there, so we could develop the characters. But so we shot in real places, and this is like Oslo, and we created it, you see, to Oslo 1942, when we did that with a lot of places that doesn't exist anymore in Norway. And we shot on the real locations, because this is a story about the king who escaped from Hitler during the first 4 days of the war. In Norway, we didn't expect the war to happen. Norway was neutral as Sweden, and we had the government that kind of had been tearing down the military, so we didn't have any real military. So during the night, they realized that, okay, we are in war. And they had to escape from the castle, and the government had to escape. Because there was a guy that didn't follow any orders, he managed to take down the biggest German boat at that time, the Blücher, before it came into Oslo. And because that was, I think, 3,000 people who went down with that boat. Because of that, the boat didn't reach the harbor, and it saved. It made it possible for the king and the government and our money, the gold, to escape from the city some hours before the Germans arrived. And this is their escape, and also because Hitler didn't want to negotiate with the government. He only wanted to negotiate with the king. So suddenly you have a king, and he had to make decisions on behalf of the government, and then you have to ask yourself, what is the government? What is a king in Norway? The king was elected it was our first king in Norway, and it was elected by the people. So he was really the king of the people, and suddenly he was alone doing this decision. So it's about democracy and what you do in a situation like they have in the States at the moment. So we shot at this upper right. That's the real castle. We were the first to be allowed to shoot in the castle. The lower left, that's where the prince is still living. The prince was living there at that time. It was taken over by the Germans some days later. That's the train that they escaped in. Even the car they used was the car that we used, so it's all kind of one-to-one. When I make a movie, I try to be as open as possible in terms of what tools do I use. I'm trying to say that every script is a unique thing, and I'm trying to choose my tools to explore that story the best possible way. For this film, we knew that we were going to shoot handheld most of the film. I called it a reality show from 1940 because the director wanted it to be 360 handheld following actors for 10 minutes in one go. So the XT was the nicest, the best ARRI camera at that time to do RAW. So we used the XT for the VFX, but that was maybe some very few percentage of the movie, maybe 3, 4, 5%. And then the Amira for the handheld, running around with people. And then we knew that we had a very important night shoot of the film. And in that film, everybody who knows the story, they knows that the Norwegian soldiers who were a part of that, they were shocked when because they were, I mean, really amateurs against the professional German soldiers. These were young guys that just had some guns from the former century, and they had to stop the German soldiers to not be able to take the king. So they've been putting together some 100 people trying to block a road and then stop them. It was during the night, and the Germans were using, I always forget the word.
Tracing bullets.
Tracing bullets, and then also the light that you send it up, and it has an umbrella, and it works for some minutes, and you light up the area. The Norwegians had never seen that before, so it was written when we read the real story. They was kind of shocked about this light. It was like daylight suddenly. And then, okay, we have to recreate this. And of course, in a standard film situation, you can do that in many ways, with lights and a crane, and you can move your lights and things, but then you're stopping the production. Then you're doing one shot. And that, of course, would have been a normal shoot. But we wanted to shoot the whole war scene in 10 minutes in one go. That means you have to reuse the real stuff. So we started a test, and we tested with all these 3 cameras, sent it up the light, the flares, and the Alexa didn't take it. It was totally underexposed. And then, fuck, what do we do? So that's why we came up with this. We saw that this camera was the only that could help us to tell the story how we wanted. So, yeah, it really made that part of the story possible. So the lenses we used was some old Leica lenses, old R, inspired by the old Leica world, because also Leica was an important still camera at that time. And my own zoom lenses to be efficient and also to use the zoom effect, because everybody knows that these have a very documentary kind of feeling. We used the zoom as an important part of be able to be shoot for 10 minutes in one go. And they are 2.8. That means also I'm losing some stuff because super speed could have been 1.3. So that I needed even there to get some more light. Or lack of light. As you see here, the whole film is done with a very low light. Some places no light. And upper right there you see the flare, and that's kind of the main source in the scene. Handheld, as I said, 10-minute takes. So some of them, we even were dressed in costumes when we shot. That's my B camera operator in costume. Midtskogen, that's where the war scene happened. And this is actually a drawing made by one of the soldiers after the war. And you see here, this is the place where the Norwegian soldiers were on the right side waiting for the Germans. The Germans arrived on that road. The real place, that was one of the few places we couldn't shoot on the real place, because in between there is a road, and that road is now a highway. So we couldn't stop it and we couldn't hide it. So we had to find a place that could kind of simulate that place. So we found a place that looks very much the same. Down here is the place where the Norwegian soldiers are, and up there is where the Germans arrived. And this is also my lighting. So you see, I had 100K very far up. It's some 4 kilometers almost, 3 kilometers away on the left side, and it was the only source for the whole area. And I took it down 50%. And then at one point there is a barn that goes on fire, so I needed to simulate that, because the barn that goes on fire was we couldn't burn the barn, so we had to find another barn that we could burn. So we had to just simulate it with lights. So I had some maxi brutes that was flickering when that happened, and then we blended it in with VFX and the real barn that was burning. Also some drawings that was made in black and white from one of the soldiers that were there when it happened, and I took the pictures and I started to play with them with colors and with to see how would it look like when the flare comes, because he had been riding the flares, you see up to the left, but there was not colors, so I put some colors in and started to play with them. And also I knew that they had trace bullets, the Germans, because the Norwegians had never seen that before. So that was also something we had to take in consideration when we made the visual approach for it. And this one, I can just stop, because it's quite funny. This one is a test we did. It shows a little bit of how precise the documentary feeling that you think just this a very random thing is, because I did this with, this is my first AD, this is the director, and then we have the second assistant director and just people around, and I'm with my still camera, and we did a test for the whole thing. And I don't have to show you all, but when you will see the DCP, you will see that it's very much the same. This is the farm, this is in daytime though, but because the story is so precise, we knew exactly what was going to happen. We knew that on this corner, the guy that is our hero, he was actually on the set when we shot, he was 98. This guy, he was then at 16 or 17. And then they were blocking the road further on the left side. They had a mid-rail machine gun, but it was very old, so it didn't work. On the left side, one of them worked, but the other one didn't work. And then it takes off in different directions. And then you see the German soldiers soon coming and so forth.
Yeah, we can see the first DCP, then we can talk about what you did in post-production.